So there's really three things on that. So first, let's go to the FIRE movement. You brought that up. It's really funny. While I was working, I had never heard of the FIRE movement, right? Financial independence, retire early. Mm-hmm. But in 2018, I do it. I retire at 45, which is 20 years earlier than I thought was ever possible. So I start poking around and I find the FIRE movement and I start interacting with folks in the FIRE community. Mm-hmm. And most of them were rude, frankly. They look at real estate investors as not part of the FIRE movement, right? Near as I can tell, the FIRE movement has to mean living on ramen noodles, biking to work, and investing in the stock market, right? Near as I could tell, right? Real estate's not an option. So I'm not a huge fan of the messaging. I was mistreated repeatedly by multiple different folks in that community. So let's just say not a fan. Number two, business owners, Alex Hormozi, Cody Sanchez, you could throw in Gary V in there if you wanted to. I took this from Ed Milet, right? Ed Milet said in one of his interviews, that only 9%. So heck, let's round it to 10. Only 10% of the population are naturally born entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. Well, the opposite of that is 90% of us are employees. And I could not imagine, Aaron, something more stressful than having to meet payroll. Right? But some people are wired that way. Alex Hormozi, Cody Sanchez, Gary V, they live in that soup, that fire, that just energy, and good for them. We need people like them. We need small businesses, but to act like everybody needs to be an entrepreneur is disingenuous and wrong. There is nothing wrong with being an employee. If you are, so this is what I tell people all the time. What's the difference between an entrepreneur and employee? In my mind, you both can earn financial freedom. I believe an employee who lives below their mean, becomes an elite investor at something like single family homes, can get there in 10 years. I believe it is the far more certain path. However, if you are an entrepreneur and you do it and it works, your upside is much, much higher. Cody Sanchez, Alex Hormozi, Gary V will be 10, 100, maybe 1,000 times richer than me. But again, not everybody is them. Not everybody makes it up that mountain. So I'm comfortable with my asset of choice. I'm comfortable being laser focused. It's the right thing for me.
Did you get your 4 units?
Oh, I did. Yeah, we got to 4 units in about 2 years. Over the next 2 years, we actually got to 8. So in about 3.5 years, we got to 8. And if you read my book, One Rental at a Time, or listen to it, you will realize that it was right before the Great Recession. So I went to a live event with a gentleman named Bruce Norris who said this phrase to me, California crash. And again, I'm a California investor. I'm also a California investor who just got wrecked in the stock market. So having somebody tell me I'm about to get wrecked for a second time was not fun or pleasant. So what I did is I went out and researched this guy, Bruce Norris. He's a legend. He's been right, more times than most people. And I believed him. I think he was right. So what did we do, Aaron? We sold all our houses and we 1031 into multifamily. So we went from 8 to 80 units in about 9 months, and we got out right at the peak. We sold the last house right at the peak of the market. So yeah, we did okay.
Yeah, you're in the Bay Area, right?
So I live in the Silicon Valley, but I invest in the Central Valley. It's about 3 hours away.
Well, how did you do that? Were you driving the whole time? You were self-managing? How did you find these properties?
So never self-managed. Yeah, never self-managed. Great question. We've had a property manager since day one, in only one unit. We did fire the first 5 property managers because they didn't serve us, or they stole, or they lied, or some kind of lack of performance. So not very good at finding property managers, but got pretty good at firing them. But the real question is, how did we find them? So kind of 2 steps. First, like a lot of people, I looked in my backyard. I tried to find cash flow in the Bay Area. It didn't exist in 2020 or in 2001. It doesn't exist today. So we had a choice. We could go out of state, or we could look local, but farther away. So one of my fears is flying. I hate to fly. So out of state was not an option for me. And so we pulled out a California map. We started drawing circles, and Fresno, California popped up 2.5 hours away. So what did we do? Well, for about 3 months or so, we drove to Fresno 3 weekends out of a month. So 3 out of the 4. We started meeting people, asking where we should invest. After interviewing, 30, 40, 50 people, we got focused on in an area called the Mayfair District, 93703. Mm-hmm. And then I just went to work, Aaron. I got a buy box, 3 or 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2-car garage, single story, between 1,200 and 2,000 square feet. And that's all I looked at, Aaron, for 3 years. If it was in that buy box, I saw it. If it wasn't, I didn't see it. I didn't get distracted. One of my superpower is focus and daily discipline. I didn't understand that until after I retired. But yeah, I looked at that one buy box for 3 years. We bought a bunch of houses in that. And then, we pivoted to multifamily, when Bruce Norris said the crash was coming.
Just a glossary term definition, buy box. Can you explain that for me?
Yeah, buy box is something that I run with. I talk about all the time. I think it's the secret to our success. Buy box is permission to look and permission to ignore. A buy box is a set of criteria that produces somewhere between 20 and 40 active listings. Again, if I didn't say it earlier, I should have. I only ever bought out of the MLS. I didn't do mailers, door knocking, instant messages, none of that stuff. It was on the MLS. I saw it. If it wasn't, I didn't. So a buy box is a set of criteria you put in realtor.com, Redfin, Zillow, save, and then look at. So again,
you were looking for turnkey?
I would look at anything that was 93703, single family home, 3 or 4 bedroom, 2 bath, 2-car garage, 1,200 to 2,000 square feet. That was it. That is all I looked at. Turnkey, burnt to the ground. If it had that criteria, I would look at it. And then I would put those numbers into a spreadsheet. I would calculate yield, and I would buy the best deal. In the beginning, turnkey was the best. By the end, fixers became the best.